Hello? Hello, hello? Okay, so attracting. Hello? Not sure if I'm live or not. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, so hello. Good evening, good evening. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Come on in, come on in, come on in. I do apologize. I'm a few minutes late. I was trying to get everything situated here. Hello, Anthony. How are you? Thank you for joining. Come on in, come on in, come on in. Tonight we're talking about dysfunctional relationships. Dysfunctional relationships. Please let me know if you can hear me as you come in. Healing. Let me know if you can hear me as you come in to the segment tonight. Hey, Donna, let me know. Can you hear me, darling? Can you all hear? Hello, hello, hello. Definitely want to definitely want to talk about this juicy segment. Hey, thank you, thank you. Hey to all my replay viewers, thank you so much for chiming in. You guys, please tag, share, and invite. Tag, share, and invite. If you know anyone that is in a dysfunctional or toxic or bad relationship, or someone that continues to attract dysfunctional, bad, or toxic people into their lives, I am going to ask you to tag, share, and invite this video, please. I do want to help some people get free on tonight. I want to help some people realize who they are in Christ on tonight. And I need those people to be in the room in order for me to do that. So if you would please go ahead and tag, share, and invite. Tag, share, and invite. So the question is asked, why do I keep attracting dysfunctional men? And how do I change that narrative? Again, why do I keep attracting dysfunctional men? And how do I change that narrative? Before I get started, I want to go ahead and just pray. I just feel led to pray on tonight that the word is received and that nothing is taken out of content or context on tonight, and that you all will be able to walk away with something. Father in heaven, Lord, I just thank you for this evening. Oh, Lord God, I thank you for an opportunity to be able to share with your people. God, I pray that you decrease me and that you increase. I pray that whatever you want me to share with your sons and your daughters on tonight, God, that it comes forth with clarity and understanding. This live is not about judging anybody. It's not about pointing the finger at anybody. It's not about throwing any shade or anything at anyone, oh God, but it's bringing things to light so that we can walk in our healing place, so we can walk in our whole place. God is bringing things to light so we can deal with the issues at hand, the unresolved and underlying problems that are prohibiting us from having healthy, reliable, and sustainable relationships and partnerships. So God, I pray that this word does not fall on deaf ears, but your sons and your daughters will hear the word and they will receive the word and they will take the word back to their places of residence, to their jobs, out in the world, God. For you called us to seek and serve. You called us to serve others. And one way we do that is by sharing the gospel of Jesus. So we thank you. It's in your son, Jesus' name. Amen. Hey, Takesha. Hey, everyone. So we're talking about why do I keep attracting dysfunctional men and how do I change that narrative? And guys, if you're on here, this live is not against you. I'm not against women. I'm just for women, and I'm not against men. I'm sorry. I'm just for women, and we're helping the woman on tonight because that is the community that I serve. So if you feel like you're being underserved on tonight, this video is not necessarily for you or even about you per se, but it is necessary to help these women to get into healthier relationships and also partnerships. So this is just not when we talk about relationships with the opposite sex, this is also about partnerships and other horizontal relationships that we are to develop because God made us relationally. So even if you're on this live tonight and you find yourself in dysfunctional friendships, then this live is for you. If you find yourself in dysfunctional partnerships, business partnerships, then this live is for you as well. I will, however, focus in on women and men in the relationship scene, but anything that I share on tonight, it will be relevant to you and you'll be able to take this information and be able to apply it to whatever relationship that you may be in. So if you're on this live on tonight and you've been in or currently in a dysfunctional relationship, I want you to go ahead and put a 1 down there for me. Now, that's not to call you out. That's not to say, oh my God, you're in a dysfunctional relationship. But I just want to make sure that I'm talking to the right people and I'm in the right room. I've been in a dysfunctional relationship. So I'm going to raise my hand because I've been in the past a functional relationship. So I know exactly what that feels like. I know exactly what that looks like. I can spot it from a mile or even 5 miles down the road. And I want to be able to help you on today to be able to identify those things in yourself and to identify those things in other people so that you can have healthy, sustainable relationships. My replay viewers, do you believe that God wants you to be in a healthy, sustainable relationship? If you believe that, I want you to put a 2. If you believe that God wants you to be in a healthy, sustainable relationship, whether that's marriage or otherwise, then I want you to put a 2 down here. I know we have this mindset that we have to suffer and we have to endure and we have to go through all of these hardships and hard times when it comes to our relationships, but contrary to popular belief, that's not necessarily what God meant by that. Yes, there are times where we will go through and we see in the Bible where it's demonstrated where individuals went through in their relationships. However, if you see in the Bible as well, there was a lot of dysfunctionality, there was a lot of disobedience, and even if the individuals that were in a relationship was not directly disobedient, sometimes their mothers, their fathers, someone in their bloodline was disobedient, or someone in their bloodline did something which then caused a curse or caused some type of dysfunctionality in the actual relationship. So on tonight, I want us to be able to dive deep a little bit, and I want us to be able to go in and see, number one, why do these relationships even exist? Why do I find myself in these bad relationships? I meet a guy and I think everything is fine. And then lo and behold, he's not the man for me. Lo and behold, he's just like the guy that I just dated, or the guy that I dated 5 years ago. And I keep finding myself in these tipsy, topsy-turvy type of relationships over and over and again. And I'm actually tired. I'm tired of not being loved the way that I want to love. I'm tired of not being able to give my love. I'm tired of not being able to trust or be trusted. I'm tired of not being confident in the relationship that I'm in or the relationships that I am seeking. I am just tired. If somebody just tired, go ahead and put it free for me. If you are just tired of the rigmarole, if you've said there are no good men out here, there are no good relationships out here, I'm just giving up, I've decided to be single. Every time I try to get in a relationship, it seems like it's going well, but lo and behold, the same things keeps happening over and over again. If you can relate to me, let me know. The same thing keeps happening over and over again. So we're going to talk to that a little bit and talk to why you keep finding yourself in this, I like to call it a hamster wheel per se. It's like you're in a wheel, but you're going nowhere. You're constantly spinning. You're constantly running on the wheel. You may even be walking on the wheel. You may even be laying down on the wheel. Nonetheless, you keep finding yourself in the same type of situation, just a different person. Same situation, but different person. When we look at the actual definition of dysfunctional, the word is an adjective, and it means not operating normally or properly. Not operating normally or properly. And when we talk about a dysfunctional person, the term dysfunctional is defined as abnormal or impaired functioning on the part of an individual person, between people, in any sort of relationship, or amongst members of family. Dysfunctional relationships or situations are often the impetus for getting help in psychotherapy. So what this is saying to us, that people that are in dysfunctional relationships, or if someone is dysfunctional, if they're operating abnormal or have impaired functioning individually or in a relationship, then you need to get some type of help. Professional would be encouraged, spiritual advisement and things of that nature. And we'll talk a little bit about that later on. But what I want you to be able to see right now, I want us to just quickly do a little bit of self-reflection and be able to look at the bloodline that where we came from. I know many of us are Christ followers on tonight, not everybody, and that's totally okay. This is for you as well. However, you know, you have to look at our bloodline and look at where we came from. You know, for those of us that are Christ followers, even if we've accepted Jesus as our Lord and Savior, we have to understand that we still have the blood and we still have the DNA of our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, our great-great-grandparents. And I don't know about you, but I have some dysfunction in my bloodline, right? And I'm willing to bet that every one of you that are watching this live tonight, that will watch the replay on tonight, you have a level of dysfunction in your bloodline. However, that level of dysfunction have looked like, oh, that's something wrong with Johnny or Julie, that's just how she is, or, you know, my family is crazy. How many of you have said those things before? Oh, they just act like that. They're always acting up. They're always at odds with one another. They're always at each other's throats. You know, how many of you have said things like that, just dismissing certain levels of behavior, just thinking like, oh, that's just how they are. Or you may have said to yourself, that's just how I am. That's just how we are. That's just how we operate. That's just how we function. We are abnormally normal. So if you've said anything like that, then that lets me know that you've identified some areas within the life of those individuals that are your direct bloodline or your immediate family. However, those things have been dismissed as they're just like that. They're just crazy, or, you know, don't pay them any attention. But I'm here to let you know that we have to be able to pay those things attention, because those things have a direct correlation, or they're directly involved in how we are showing up in relationships. They're directly involved as to how we are showing up in relationships. So I'm just going to go over 5 things with you on tonight. Somebody put 5 for me. 5 things with you on tonight. I'm going to give you one solution. So I'm going to give you 5 reasons why individuals keep attracting unhealthy, dysfunctional, or toxic partners. And then I'm going to give you one solution that you are going to need to apply to that area of dysfunction so that you can come out as a healed and whole person. Is that all right tonight? Somebody type 5 for me. Type 5. 5 things that I'm going to share with you on tonight. Replay viewers, thank you for staying on. Somebody type at number 5 for me, please. Thank you, Donna. I appreciate it. So the number one thing, if you want to transcribe, you can. I would encourage you to take notes. If you're on here on tonight and you're just listening, that's great. But if you want to get this in your psyche and really want to be able to self-reflect and do some self-exploration after we get off this live on tonight, after you finish watching this replay, I would encourage you to take notes. Don't ever come to class. Don't ever show up when it's an opportunity to learn and you don't have your notepad and your pen. Number one, you attract what you are. You attract what you are. And I wrote here, dysfunction can only function in a dysfunctional environment. I'm going to say that again. Dysfunction can only function in a dysfunctional environment. Anything outside of that would be counterproductive to its dysfunctional state. So, you know, certain animals, certain amphibians can only survive in a certain environment. Let's take a fish, for example. If you take a fish outside of the water, eventually what happens with that fish? I need you to talk back to me tonight. If you take a fish outside of the water, eventually what will happen to that fish? The same thing with a dysfunctional person. So a dysfunctional person, or dysfunctional qualities or attributes, if you want to call them that, they can only function in a dysfunctional state. So if you're attracting someone that's dysfunctional, someone that's broken, if you will, someone that's toxic, someone that is impaired, someone that is unhealthy, then that means that there is some areas of that, or some residue of that, that still resides on the inside of you. Something is broken. I'm not saying you are broken, but it's something inside of you. Something inside of you is not showing up in a healed or a whole state. Therefore, whatever's on the outside, the exterior, that thing, that person is attracted to whatever that is on the inside of you. It could be a mindset, a certain mindset that you have, a certain viewpoint, a certain perspective. And also that's in line with a level of codependency. Somebody write codependency for me. It's in line with codependency. When I talk about codependency, codependency is a behavioral condition in a relationship where one person enables a person's addiction. It could be their addiction. It could be their poor mental health. It could be their immaturity. It could be their irresponsibility or underachievement. Among the core characteristics of codependency is an excessive reliance on other people for approval and a sense of identity. So you will see people that are in dysfunctional relationship, they have some level of codependency. They can relate to one another on some type of toxic level. A codependency is not necessarily a healthy way. I know some people say they're codependent on one another and they monitor it and they manage it and they say it's healthy in the way of they're codependent on one another's success. But normally, when we use the word codependency, is normally used in a negative light. And it's to say that you're depending on somebody to give you something because you can relate to that person in the same way. Let's say you have two people that dealt with a level of trauma. Those two people that dealt with a level of trauma, they understand one another's pain. They can feel one another's pain. Let's say these two people lost their father in a tragic way. These people know what it is to lose a parent. These people know what it is to feel rejected. They know what it is to feel abandoned. They know what it is to feel betrayed. They know what it is to experience that level of abandonment or that level of rejection. And that then is called codependency because they're depending on each other's hurt. They're depending on each other's pain. They're depending on each other's their level of their fear of rejection in order to help them be better, in order to help them feel good. It's like they depend on each other for that negative energy, if you would. And especially if these two people are not seeking wholeness, if they're not seeking to be healed, if they're not seeking help in any way, that is a dangerous place to be in. It's dangerous for you to be in a relationship where neither one of you are seeking any level of wholeness or health. Okay. Number two, lost identity in who you really are. So when we talk about this dysfunctionality, that means that there is some sort of lost identity in who you are. You're not showing up as your true, authentic self. And I said here, you have conformed to a false reality of who you are for the sake of love or in the way you know it. You live in denial of who you really are, which prohibits you from self-exploration and reflection, which alters your decisions on choosing better and different. So when you don't know who you are, you're looking to every single thing to identify yourself. You're looking to other people to identify you, to validate you, to hold you to some level of regard. You don't understand that you were created in God's image and His likeness because you're looking to other things. And a lot of times that other thing is an unhealthy or dysfunctional person or partner to validate you. And anytime you are in a relationship and you're looking for this person to validate you through word or deed, then that, my friend, is dysfunctionality. Because there's nobody on earth that can validate you except for God. There's nobody on earth that should validate who you are, what your worth is, except for God the Father, because He is your creator. And when you have lost identity, you have a very hard time being able to explore within yourself and outside of yourself, and being able to self-reflect because you don't have any idea of who you are. Number three, false reality, false reality of what that person may look like, in fear of embarrassment or torment by others because you chose someone outside the norm and conform to others' expectations. And what I mean by that, what I was talking about is you don't choose the square, ladies. You don't choose the guy that, may not dress as well, may not be the most, handsome guy. He may not have whatever whoever has, but he may be an upstanding guy. He may be somebody that's going to love you, somebody that's going to take care of you in a sense of emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and financially. That could be the case as well. But you're choosing who other people think you should choose, or you're choosing what you're used to, or you're choosing what others have chosen as far as your mother, your grandmother, the aunt, the woman in your life. They've chosen these type of men. And these are the type of men that have shown up in your life over the years. And maybe even your father has been, was this type of man. And you're choosing men like that, but they're not necessarily the right men or the best man for you. And instead of you choosing something different and something better, you don't choose because you fear the fear of others teasing you, or fear of even of embarrassment, because it doesn't look like you. The person doesn't look like someone that you would even date, that you would even give the time of day. And you've allowed the noise in society and even your family members to tell you that that's the wrong choice. Okay. Number four, you really don't know why. And it seems normal, but yet so far removed from who you really are. So you really don't know why you keep attracting these people. You have done some level of self-work or self-growth and development, or at least you thought you did that. And you try to really do some digging within yourself to show up differently and show up better. But lo and behold, you continue to attract these type of men. And what I'm going to tell you with that is it's all in your DNA. It's a part of who you are. It's a part of who you are before you were born. Patterns of behavior. I said a little bit earlier, when you see certain patterns of behavior in your immediate bloodline, especially the woman in your family, or even the men in your family, of how they're showing up and the type of men that you're used to, you tend to automatically be attracted to that level of those type of men. And for women, you tend to do the same thing that the other woman in your life have done. You need to adjust. I said here, lenses need to be readjusted so you can see what's real and what isn't. What is your story versus someone else's story? And I want to say here, are you living your story? Are you living your truth, or are you living someone else's truth? Are you doing what your mother did, or your grandmother did, or your aunties did? What is your story, and are you ready to tell it? Are you ready to share it? Are you able to look at your bloodline without shaming anybody, without pointing the fingers at anybody, without blaming anybody, but being able to say, okay, I'm choosing this because this is what I've seen all my life. This is what I've been introduced to all my life. This is what I've been told all my life. This is what I've accepted all my life. And it was fun at 20, but now that I'm 30, or now that I'm 40 years old, it's not fun anymore. It was cool to date the thug guy when I was 15 or 16 years old. Like, it was cool to date the bad boy or whatever when I was a young teenager or a young girl. But now that I'm 40, I don't want to continue to attract these type of men. I want a viable candidate. I want somebody not just that's going to love me, but somebody that's going to show up for me, someone that's going to show up for himself, someone that is going to be a godly life partner, not somebody that's going to mistreat me or mistreat my children or even mistreat the God that I serve. So patterns of behavior, begin to look at the patterns of behavior, not only in the relationships that you have had, but also in the relationships the woman in your life, the woman in your family have had. And I want to stop here for just a moment. I want to ask you guys to go ahead and take out a piece of paper if you have not already. If you have a piece of paper, say I have a piece of paper. If not, I want to give you just a second, and I want you to get a piece of paper and write down some things for me. So we have about 5 more minutes left on here. Get a piece of paper and write down something for me. And let me know when you have it. Let me know when you have it. I'm gonna go ahead and go because I'm gonna be off in about 5 or 7 minutes. So what I want you to be able to write down, right? Take a few minutes, take a 60 seconds. I'm gonna time, and I really want you to begin to write down some characteristics that you've seen in the woman in your life, how they've shown up in your life, and I want you to be able to see what characteristics have shown up in your life. So the woman in your family, and then the woman in your life. I just want you to begin to just write down some things that you may have experienced, rejection, betrayal, pain, low self-esteem. Just begin to write down some anger. Begin to write down some things that you've seen in the woman in your life or also in your life, because this is just a little exercise for you to be able to see patterns of behavior, how things normally have patterns, and you have to look at the patterns, identify the patterns so you can identify the root of the problem so you can get to the root of the problem. Okay, I'm gonna repeat that. That's like 30 seconds. I'm gonna repeat that just so you guys can have a time to do that. And if you begin to see, if you're doing the exercise, I hope that you are, my replay viewers, this is for you as well. You begin to see that some of the same characteristics are crossing over generations. Some of the same characteristics are showing up in your life. They're showing up in your mom, your grandmother, your great grandmother, your siblings, and things of that nature, because patterns of behavior is exactly what it is. They're patterns of behavior, and it's a behavior that has been passed down to the other person. And I want you to be able to see what has been passed down to you. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and share the last one with you. Number 5 is you refuse to heal. And what I mean by that is you refuse to heal, or you fear, you fear healing. You fear what's going to happen, what happens after I heal, or you fear understanding what healing is going to look like, or you just don't know what to do in the healing process. It's a journey. It is work that is going to require is going to be required on your behalf, and sometimes it's going to require you to let go of some things and some people. And this is something that people fear as well. It may cause you to have to let go of certain people in your life, certain behaviors in your life. And if you've lived this way all of your life, if you've been with this person, if you've been operating in this sphere of it, or this environment all your life, it's hard to then get out of that environment. That's just like a beer. You take a beer out of its natural environment, you try to put it in the city, it's really not going to be able to thrive and live like in the way that it should, because it was not designed to be in that place. You have to teach them to adapt in that type of environment. And a lot of times, fear causes us not to be able to adapt in a new environment. But what I'm going to tell you as well is that same fear is going to keep you in a drowning environment. Is going to keep you continuing to attract dysfunctional relationships. I also said the fear of the unknown about an actual healthy and viable relationship. and that contributes to your happiness. So you don't even know, you have this fear of, what if I do this? What if I look at all the stuff in my life? What do I look at? What if I look at these characteristics in these areas of my life and then nothing changes? Like, what happens with that? So that's fear with that as well. And we have to be able to recognize those things if you want to get to the root of the problem. So that's why I'm going to give you one solution. And the one solution is it's healing time. Thank you, cuz it's healing time. So if you can type that for me, just type it's healing time. It's healing time. It's time for the spiritual and emotional healing. And what I can tell you is that the only way you're going to be able to get over these things, get past these things, get through these areas in which I mentioned, attracting who you are, that level of dysfunction in that dysfunctional environment, learning how to identify who you are, no longer having a lost identity, no longer having a false reality, knowing what you really want, and knowing that this is not normal. How you're showing up isn't normal. The relationships you're in are not normal, and being able to identify those patterns of behavior and do something to it, and then taking control of your healing. The only way you're going to be able to do that is if you take charge. So that's why Jill and I created this 10-week spiritual and emotional healing program. Someone say 10 weeks, 10 weeks emotional healing and emotional and spiritual healing program, because what we know to be true is that you cannot show up healthy and whole unless you're spiritually and emotionally healed. It takes two. It takes both of those areas working simultaneously, working together. Hey, Beverly, working simultaneously, working together. You cannot do one without the other. You may say, well, Trell, I go to church, I serve on the usher board, I serve on praise and worship, I read my Bible. But what I'm going to tell you is that it takes more than that. You have to actually do work. Somebody say work. You have to actually do the work that is required in order for you to show up differently. And I want to be able to help you to do the work that is required so you can show up differently. So if you're on here on tonight and you're saying, you know what, Terrell, everything you're saying, it has been great. I know that this is the next level for me. I've been in this same place over and over and over again. And I have not, I'll be honest with you, I have not taken control of my emotional healing. I've not taken control of my spiritual healing. And now is the time for that. And I'm ready to go to the next level. So if you're on here on tonight and you're interested in learning more about the program, you're interested in coming aboard, like I said, it is 10 weeks. It is 10 weeks of implementation. It's 10 weeks of training. It's 10 weeks of us giving you live constructive feedback in our private group. It is 10 weeks of you being able to experience healing on a totally different level. The problem that we're helping to solve is the emotional and spiritual brokenness, which is a part of the mindset. And I'm just going to tell you a few of the benefits that you'll get as a result of being a part of this program. You will experience total emotional healing. You will learn how to forgive those who have violated you, even if you don't want to reconcile the relationship with them. You will be able to experience wholeness, being complete and satisfied with yourself, and you will be fulfilled and not look to others for validation or justification. You will be more confident, a more confident woman, a more confident wife. You'll be a more confident mother. You will no longer live vicariously through your children, feeling like now life is over for you because you can't find your Mr. Right. So you're so gung-ho and making sure your children are happy. No, you'll be able to make sure that you are happy as well. As a coworker, you will be able to be the expert. People will look at you as the expert and leader, and they will see that you're confident and competent and courageous. In your business, you'll be able to serve your clients at a higher vibration. So if you're like, I don't know if this is for me, Trell, sounds great. I know that there are some things that I have to do, but I don't know exactly what they are. Well, let me just entertain you just for a little while longer. And I'm not talking about entertaining like it's non-justifiable, but listen to what I have to say just for a little while longer here. So if you've been in a place and you've been sexually, physically, or emotionally abused, and you haven't identified your needs, and you definitely need to heal and be delivered from the pain of your past, and this is definitely from you. For you, if you've experienced any level of rejection, abandonment from a parent, a spouse, boyfriend, and you need to heal your heart from that pain, of feeling not good enough and not worthy, then this is for you. If you have experienced a parent leaving you by way of consecration, death, or otherwise, a parent with a mental illness, or a parent who has dealt with an addiction of any kind while growing up, this is for you. If you struggle to trust people, this is for you. If you struggle to manage or control your emotions, either being too sensitive or too aggressive, finding yourself yelling and screaming, raising your voice, and just being emotionally out of control, this is for you. If you have experienced any type of church hurt, if you've experienced any type of betrayal from church leadership, if you're in a current relationship, your current relationships are being affected by trauma and drama, then this is for you. If you struggled with establishing and maintaining healthy relationships with the opposite sex or with partners, business partnerships, leaders, this is for you. If you're finding that everyone around you is the problem except for you, then you, my friend, this is for you. And this all goes on and on and on. So listen, at the bottom line, and at the end of the day, if you're in a place where you know that spiritual and emotional healing needs to take place in your life, then this is for you. And I want you to comment below if you're interested in learning more about the program. I would like to share more with you. I have a link that I can share with you, and you guys can go on that link and check it all out and all that great stuff. And I would love for you to be a part of it. We're starting the first segment on Saturday, February 15th, which is the Saturday, so the day after Valentine's Day. So if you're even dreading that day, you're dreading that day because of the past relationships that you've been in. Every time Valentine's, Christmas, or any type of close holiday come around and you just feel like you can't get through the day, it's such a hard time for you, it's a hard day for you, then this is for you. And you need to be a part of this 10-week healing and emotional program, healing and emotional membership program. It's just 10 weeks, you guys, 10 weeks of work, 10 weeks of you getting it together, 10 weeks of us being on the grind together, us going through it with you step by step so that you can show up differently, you can show up better, and so that you will not, when you will no longer show up as a dysfunctional person, and you will no longer attract dysfunction. So for those 10 weeks, we're going to talk about recognition and releasing, how to recognize and identify pain, understanding the spirit of rejection, releasing toxic things and people, letting go of toxic lovers, all of that stuff we're going to talk about in 10 weeks. It's going to be juicy. It's going to be an online segment, and you will have some interaction with us via our private social media platform. So listen, guys, that is my time. If you're interested, my replay viewers, if you're interested, go ahead and type below. Let me know. Say me or I'm interested so I can know to follow up with you, and we can go from there. I pray that this has been a blessing to you. I pray that something that I said has resonated with you and that you will show up differently from today onward. I pray that if this program is for you, that you will no longer put it off. You will no longer put your healing off. You will no longer put you off, but you will make yourself a first priority. You will make yourself a first priority. This is self-care 101. This is self-love 101. When you choose to heal, you are then in a position to help others do the same. So I pray you all have an amazing night, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.